Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Francis Dunnery Astrology. Please don't forget to press the subscribe button when it shows up. I would be very grateful for that. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about Saturn in Taurus and how that how Saturn affects the Taurian nature. You can I know it's a bit of a joke, but you can basically find your average Taurus kind of looking for a bit of, I always call it, sex, food and money. I always say that, where, but just things that are comfortable, things that make them comfortable. Tauruses like to be comfortable like that. They like nice things, and they like, because it's an affirmation to them that they're going to be all right, that in reality they're going to be self-reliant. And that's the big thing with Taurus, is to be self-reliant. They're not particularly keen on relying on other people for things. They like to stay self-reliant, and so they like to amass stuff for themselves, so they've always got enough to keep themselves alive, so to speak. And so your average Taurus, who's they're quite lavish people. They are quite gentle and soft and all that Venus stuff, that nice stuff. But when you put Saturn in there, it threatens their self-reliance. And so anybody with Saturn in Taurus will have a threat on their own self-reliance, no matter what sign you are. You put Saturn in there, and all of a sudden you've got fear of not being able to be self-reliant. And it's a self-perpetuating energy where you don't feel like you've got enough, and so you don't have enough. Whatever goes on inside of you always projects out. So you can always see how you're doing inside by what you're surrounded by. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book to have a look at that. When you're talking to somebody, you can find out what's going on in their life, and that's what's going on inside of them. If there's conflict on the outside, you can be sure as hell there's conflict on the inside. And when there's fear on the outside, you can be sure as hell that all roads lead back to the self, because you're always surrounded by yourself. And so when you have Saturn in Taurus, there's a fear of poverty. There's somebody who never seems to have enough. It doesn't matter if they've got $50 billion. If they've got $50 billion, they'll be terrified if you take, $500 away, because it literally frightens them. It's a fear they're born with. And so the need for stuff, or the need to get their own stuff, seems to avoid them, and they end up having to rely on other people, which is one of the big things with Saturn in Taurus, the reliance upon other people to bring you what you think you need to be self-reliant. I can't do it, says the Saturn in Taurus person, Saturn in the second house person. I can't do it, but they can. Those people who are enough, because fundamentally it boils down to the I haven't got enough, boils down to I'm not enough. It starts there. It doesn't start with, a lot of people, again, think I haven't got enough, so I don't feel good about myself. No, it's the other way around. I don't feel good about myself, and so I haven't got enough. And in certain times, it might correlate where certain, certain people in life, we go through, we're not just a stagnant entity. We move all the time. We're constantly changing. So people, have these things happen in their life, periodically. It might be cyclical, but the Saturn in Taurus person is born with it, and they have to live with it. And it's a very difficult energy to live with, because you're constantly reminded that you're not enough. And here's Saturn as the beast. The constant, I'm not enough. I haven't got enough. I won't have enough. So you can get people who are really frugal, really cheap, because they're terrified. I might not have enough. Somebody who can't share, somebody who can't give. Somebody who's just looking for a freeloader all the time, because they don't think, everything they do. And it governs their life, because they don't do what they really want to do. They go where they think they're going to get things from people. And again, this is Saturn in Taurus. And the entire situation is often misunderstood as an outer phenomena, when really the answer to this Saturn in Taurus on how to become the handsome prince. Remember our story, the beast kidnaps the beauty till she learns to love him for who he is, and then he turns into a handsome prince. Well, the handsome prince in this respect is to go inward and to ask yourself, what are you worth? Because there's somebody who doesn't know their own value. They don't understand their own value in the world, and so they feel like they're worthless. That's the beast element of it. But once you begin to have that conversation, once you begin to explore it through language, remember language. Language is how the world occurs for humans. We do everything in language, and so we have to use language to change things or to transform things from beasts into beauties. And it's all done in the art of conversation. It's all done through talking it out, to begin to understand, to look at yourself, to look at what, why do I feel not worth? Why do I feel I am not worth anything? How come I don't know my value? And when you begin to ask those hard questions, it always leads, if you keep going, it will always lead to the beauty inside. And then what shows up on the outside is enough. Am I enough? Yes, I am enough. And then enough shows up, and you have what it takes to be self-reliant. It often shows up as a form of prostitution, Saturn in Taurus or Saturn in the second house, because you're constantly selling yourself out to things you wouldn't normally do if you had money or if you had worth. But you end up going with these things. Okay, I'll do that then because they can give me some money. And perhaps people without Saturn in Taurus on this channel now can begin to look at it and go like, well, I've been like that in my life when I was down on my luck for a year or two. I did things that I didn't want to do. Well, that's how the Saturn in Taurus person is from day one, from when they're kids. They just can't seem to be enough. And they don't feel like they are enough because they don't understand their own value. And nobody's going to tell you your own value. You have to go inward to find your own value. And that's both the curse and the blessing of Saturn in Taurus. The curse is that you act almost like a prostitute, where you're selling yourself down because you don't know your own value, and you can't seem to get enough money. It's often is money, but it isn't just money. It's what you've attached value to. Like whatever you value with Saturn in Taurus, you won't have enough of it. Whether it's friendship, whether it's your parents, whether it's it doesn't matter what it is, you won't be able to get enough of it because you don't understand fundamentally your own value. And so that's Saturn in Taurus. That's the beauty of that is that once you find it, it can never be taken from you again. Once you understand, once you get to these Saturnian questions that they ask, this fear, it'll never. It's like riding a bike; you never forget it, and it'll never come back. So it's in your interest to delve in there, like what Carl Jung says, know thyself. It's a really important thing. It is the most important thing in the world because everything springs from your own understanding of yourself. That's where it all springs from. I've seen people worth millions of dollars and they've got Saturn in Taurus and they just feel like I've got no value. It doesn't really matter. Their money has got no value anywhere to them. So Saturn in Taurus, the fear of poverty, the lack of self-worth, and the misunderstanding of their own value. I hope you've enjoyed our little chat today about the Saturn planet and its psychic process. Please press the subscribe button. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another Saturnian uncovering. Let's call it that. That's a declaration. Have a great day. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.